Okay, so this is Moss and Scarlett making sourdough. So Moss will show you how he measures out the ingredients. First, it is, what are you measuring, Moss?
Flour.
What kind of flour?
Flour.
White or whole wheat?
Okay.
White flour.
I think 1 scoop.
Okay, so he put the 1 cup of whole wheat, so it's 3 cups of white, 1 cup of whole wheat, and now what are you putting in, Moss?
Salt.
And how many teaspoons?
2.
Okay.
That was my door.
Okay, so Moss has mixed up the dry ingredients, and now I'm going to do the sourdough. So I take some honey, and like a good amount of honey, I would say, you know, it depends how sweet you want it, but like a couple of tablespoons for sure. And try not to make a mess, and this is local Beasley honey from down the street. And then I'll mix it with some hot tap water, just so the honey kind of dissolves. And this is a 2-cup pyrex. So I just filled it up. I don't know, it's 1 1/4 cups. Now this is my sourdough, which I have just fed a few minutes ago. And I am going to take this sticky thing, make sure the honey's mixed in, and then just add the sourdough till it gets to about 2 1/4 cups. So it's probably like half cup of sourdough or something, like so. Then I just mix this up to make sure all the honey is in there, and that's where I'll hand it over to Moss, and Moss will, it's a little bit messy, you can see, oh, the honey isn't totally mixed in, but it's pretty good, and it's nice if now the whole temperature will be kind of lukewarm. Okay, Moss, you pour it in. So Moss is going to pour it in, and then I'll pause it and do some more. So he's always really careful as to not make too much of a mess.
So it's this one?
Yeah, and you can use either one to mix. Ready? I'm going to pause, and then we'll start while he's mixing.
Start right now.
Okay. So he's just pouring it all in. And there's all the honey dissolved from the bottom. So now Moss is mixing it together, and he's using a special mixing tool. You could use that one, or you can use a spatula. But Moss seems to really like this one. It's made especially for thick doughs. And you can kind of see the consistency of that. It's still quite wet. So we've mixed it up, and what we found is that it's probably still just a little teeny bit dry, because you can see that there's still flour on the bottom. So you kind of want it about this consistency, but to put up the flour, I'm just going to drizzle a little teeny bit of water on there again. So that's probably only, I don't know, a tablespoon or something. And then we will mix it in and hopefully get our desired. So I think we have about the right consistency here. So Moss is just working the last little bit of it. And altogether, I would say, you know, we've only mixed it for like under 2 minutes. So, ready, Moss?
I give it a little taste to make sure that if it's tasty, that's good. But if it doesn't have any taste, it's not that good.
And then what we do is once it's sort of all in a nice bowl, or a nice pile, here, Moss, you hold it for a minute. And I'll just use the spatula for that. Give it one last go over to make sure all the dry bits are done. And take this which you could also just use paper towel and cover it. Okay, so now I have a really heavily floured cutting board, and I'm going to put the dough onto the cutting board. And we made this dough maybe yesterday at, well, 3 o'clock, and now it's about 8:30 in the morning. So that's kind of how the timing goes. So I just scrape it all out, like so. You can get all the last bits in there if you want, or leave them. They're just kind of hard to clean. Now back up, hon. And then I'm going to just get some more flour, sprinkle the top, and just roll it into a ball. And at this point I like to kind of do some stretching and rolling, because the stretching is what's going to give the long glutinous strands. And just get it into a nice ball. Sometimes I stretch it more, sometimes I stretch it less. I find this method of just kind of turning it onto itself and trying to avoid the strands ripping like they have there. So this will just be nice and gentle. And get it into a nice ball. Get it lots of flour on it. Oh, and I just to note, yesterday when I was covering it, I said you could use that plastic thing or paper towel, but what I meant to say is saran wrap. So once you have it in a ball, over here now, so stick it in the Benetton. I'll put a little more flour on it. And then this is just a nice cotton dish towel, which is quite heavily floured. And I will just cover it up. And now it's going to sit there for a few hours.
Good.
So now it is 11:40, so it's been 3 hours. And it's risen a fair bit. It could probably rise more if we wanted to, but I found that even at this point it would be fine. So I have a lidded cast iron Dutch oven. Here's the lid, and I've floured it quite heavily at the bottom. And I am going to preheat it in the oven to about 375 before I put the risen bread in. Okay, so bread is done. I had someone over, so I maybe would have left it in for a little bit longer, but a few things I forgot to mention were that I had it covered for the first 30 minutes, and then in the photo that I've shown when it was in the oven, I took the cover off for the last 15 minutes, so it's in there for about 45 minutes. Anyway, so this is the bread now. It's cooled a little bit, but I'll just cut it open so you can see the texture inside. And there's that kind of trick of when it's going to be done, I find, is you just do like a little knock on it. Now that it's been out, it won't make the sound anymore, but once it's in the oven, if you do a little tap, tap, tap on it, it should kind of sound hard and hollow. And then there you can see inside, so it's got a really nice texture, lots of nice big bubbles on the inside, and it's perfect with some butter and honey. Yeah, so you know, sometimes we've let it go a little bit longer for the second rising, but anyway, it looks pretty good. So that's that.